Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about Java and if Java is the most important language in programming. So let's get into it. So I had a question regarding Java because I don't think I do touch on Java a few times throughout these videos of mine. I think it has some validity because of Java's position within IT. But this is the first time I've gotten the question if it is the most important language. And I'm going to just say that it's almost impossible for me to define what we mean by, all right, what is the most important language just in general, because there is no such thing. There's no way for me to say that, oh, C is the most important language or Java is the most important language, because or JavaScript is the most important language, depending on your viewpoint, it's going to be true or it's going to be false. So I'm just going to give you a few thoughts regarding this, and I'm going to say that in a sense, depending on how you look at it, yes, Java is the most important programming language you can learn. Now, what I mean by that isn't that Java is better than all the other languages, because it's not. But what I do mean about it is that Java has two things that I believe is, and technically this is not exclusive to Java, but it's just that it is in a very unique position to give you this sort of thing. So you can make an argument for C# as well, but it's a little bit, it's not exactly at the same level, or it's almost at the same level, but not exactly. So the thing that I'm going to argue, the reason why I will argue that Java is the most important language that you can learn, is because if your goal is to work as a professional grade software developer, and your goal is to work in enterprise level development, you want to work on backend systems, you want to do pretty much what most of this industry is doing, because most of this industry is actually statistically working on a backend system of some sort. Well, then Java is the biggest player in the world. Even though it may not be the best language in the world, because I don't believe that it is, but not by a long shot, but it is the biggest job provider of all in this industry when it comes to backend development. And apart from that, it is also the poster child for object-oriented programming. It is the poster child. It is the thing that most schools use in order to teach object-oriented programming. Now, computer science is usually taught in Python or things of this nature, but Java is definitely one of the first choices for this area. It is one of the, I would argue that I don't think that object-oriented programming would be as prominent that it is today if it wasn't for quite a lot of push from Java. Java has had a big influence on this paradigm of working, for better or for worse, depending on your viewpoint, of course. But that's like the second thing, and I would argue that these two things make it I think it's hard to argue with that. I mean, if your goal isn't to work in this fashion, or if your goal isn't to learn object-oriented programming, it still has one final thing, which I think is, okay, maybe this is a bonus one, but at least a lot of the books regarding software architecture and development and so forth that are among the most highly valued within this industry are based on the sort of learnings like this and the sort of work that you do in Java development, which basically, I mean, an example would be domain-driven design, which is by far and wide one of the, if not the most common paradigm of architecture within a code base that you can use. Like, most of the industry uses some flavor of this pattern when they're working in an object-oriented fashion, and quite often in Java. And it's based around these learnings. This is of course not exclusive to Java. It's more that if you work in Java, professionally in Java, it's going to make you I'm not going to say make you a better software developer, because that's not what it's about. It's just that the patterns and the paradigms of working in Java is very established in accordance with these practices because it's so ingrained in the Java culture. There are languages out there where you don't actually have this, where it's more likely that you will struggle to figure out how to structure an application correctly, where it might actually be tricky for you to find these, I'm not saying blueprints, but these very clear guidelines how to consistently produce results, to consistently produce something that will scale up to a big corporation, or that feels familiar to other developers. That's something that C# has, which is very nice. Like, they have a very clear structure. Most developers feel very comfortable in each other's code bases when you're working in C# because there's a very established pattern of doing things. And Java has arguably the same sort of position. So I will argue that for someone who is out to make a living from programming, and if you are looking to have job security and you want to learn how to write software as a professional programmer, then Java is, if it's not the most important language, it is one of the most important languages. It's definitely not one of the most important, like the most important language, at least for learning, system level student development or learning. I mean, anything that is outside of this bubble of enterprise backend development, if it's outside of that scope, then no, it's not gonna be the most important language. But it is the most important language if that is the thing that you are going for. So what I want you to take away from this is that it's impossible to define what makes something the most important language. But I will argue that from the perspective that you're looking to become an enterprise backend developer and you want to learn real proper programming and like really master this and become a real professional, then I don't think that there aren't really many competitors to Java. C# you could make an argument for that, but Java is still vastly more popular when it comes to Java availability just globally. It might be different in your region. So yeah, I still think that Java it may not be the nicest language in the world, but it's definitely one of the most important ones for anybody who wants to do back-end enterprise development. Have a great day.